morning. Really happy to be here in Long Beach. I'm Jon Otto, GM of Axios Live. So a bit about today's event. It's not possible without the support of our partners. Shell has been a terrific sponsor and partner for us. This is the culmination of a year-long series that we've done. It's taken us to Richmond, Virginia. We've been in Baton Rouge. We're finishing here in Long Beach. So I just wanted to make a note of that. We've been really grateful for this series. I'm excited to introduce back to the stage the president of Shell Energy, Glenn Wright, for our View from the Top slot. Welcome, Glenn.
Thank you. Happy
Welcome back. Thank you. I get to the hotel yesterday. I check into my room. I look out the window, and I have a vast view of the port of Long Beach, apropos for our conversation today. So let's just get right into it. So the port ecosystem facing a variety of complex challenges right now when it comes to decarbonization. Now, paint a 30,000-foot view picture for us and take us through some of those challenges to start.
Sure. I think first, maybe a little context with regard to seaports. Seaports are hubs of transportation and commerce. They are absolutely vital to the U.S. economy. They are gateways for passengers and for goods that move about our country, into, out of, around, and through. It is absolutely fundamental that we have them because they help our economy thrive. Now, having said that, with all those positives, at the same time, they are hubs for the convergence of engines. They concentrate in seaports. Those engines might be maritime engines in the form of ships or tugs or towing vessels. They might come from road transport, drayage trucks, vans, cars, or they might come from rail, locomotion. Beyond that, there's machinery throughout a seaport that moves cargo in and around the seaport. So you have a concentration of engines, and those engines produce emissions. They produce pollutants. So on the one hand, you have a real vital service, a good, and on the other hand, there's a need to mitigate the challenges that the emissions cause potentially to human health or climate. Seaports have done a phenomenal job at this point of trying to address the needs of their constituents, whether those are customers, tenants, or the communities that surround the seaports. They are being very responsive. They have very active decarbonization goals and objectives, and they're driving hard to meet those objectives. So to the challenges. When we think about decarbonization, we often think about electrification. Why electrification? Because of all of the energy sources, it is far and away the easiest to decarbonize. We have technologies that do that, whether it's solar, whether it's wind, and those are cost effective. So we think electrification. Having said that, electrification in a seaport is not trivial. Is not easy. Electrification requires, number one, that you have the financing. These projects, most projects in a seaport, they tend to be like snowflakes. Each is unique. And therefore, it's not like a standardized process when it comes to delivering outcomes for the seaport. Beyond that, it's logistically challenging. Seaports are busy places. There's a lot going on. And so you have to manage those logistics effectively. And then you have to have the right sort of labor, the right sort of skill set to deliver outcomes for those seaports. So when you think about it, there's this aging infrastructure that requires modernization, and to apply outcomes requires good financing, good logistics, and good wage, good skilled labor that can affect the good outcomes for these projects.
Let's talk a little bit more about the needs, though. I think you just touched on that. So as it relates to, what would you say is some of the needs in order to pursue some of these decarbonization activities for ports?
Well, again, one of the biggest challenges is financing. So to provide the right resources, absolutely imperative. And there's a role to be played by government here. There are a number of administrative agencies that have programs that essentially fund opportunities to decarbonize, to introduce low and zero emission projects. For instance, the Department of Transportation, the Department of Energy, the EPA, all of them have programs. One that comes to mind, the Department of Transportation has the Ports Infrastructure Development Program. Earlier this year, they had $450 million that they made available competitively for projects that improve reliability, that improve efficiency, that improve safety when it comes to moving goods around a port. And of course, there's nothing that says you can't use that in combination to deliver a climate-friendly outcome. In addition, if you think about the Environmental Protection Agency, they have the Clean Ports Program This program was made available by the Inflation Reduction Act, and $3 billion are available in this program to help fund and finance decarbonization outcomes. In particular, they focus on air quality, they focus on climate, they also talk about infrastructure like shore power, as well as the movement of trucks, of vehicles throughout the port. So all of these government funding offers the opportunity to help address, and that is a key challenge.
Mm-hmm. So, public-private partnerships as well. I think you touched on this a little bit. Can you take us through that some more? Are there any examples that you would want to share or point out?
Yeah, so I talked a bit about the public side of this, so let's talk about the private side of this. Why would a company like Shell be interested in placement in a seaport? Well, first of all, our objective is we power progress together by providing more and cleaner energy solutions, all right? And so much like seaports, we offer a service, a good, energy, because the world needs more energy, and simultaneously we have to work in a way that ensures the Earth is fit for life. We want to make our contribution to that. We have net zero emissions goals by 2050 or sooner, and that encompasses Scope 1, Scope 2, and Scope 3 emissions. Now, Scope 3 emissions are those emissions specifically that our customers emit when they use our products and services. So if we are to achieve our objectives, they must achieve their objectives. And our aim is to help them do exactly that, to help them achieve their objectives. And so we do that by making investment, direct investment. So you have the public and you have the private investment. We look at opportunities that are economically viable, socially acceptable, and environmentally sustainable. Now, it's clear that the last two, social acceptability and environmental sustainability, are the objects, the purpose of these investments. They help to, again, improve health, and they help to address climate. By bringing public funding with private funding, we also make projects that are like snowflakes, economically viable, and that's absolutely key. Profitable decarbonization is the way we aim to go, and that's why we have interest in this space.
Now, ports are critical centers for electrification demand. I think you touched on this briefly. I'd like to go into that a little bit more. What are some insights into conversations you're having with both ports and port customers as it relates to solutions there?
Absolutely. So ports are areas where one needs to apply a multifaceted approach. We've talked a bit about decarbonization, and we've talked in particular about the electrification where we employ solar and wind energy, but that's only one facet. There is no silver bullet. It's imperative that we look at a number of different approaches to decarbonization in ports. So, for instance, modular vessel design helps in decarbonization. Imagine that you have a vessel that can pull out a battery and place in another fuel alternative. It's almost like Legos. That's not a fair comparison, but just imagine it's like that, right?
I get it. I have a 5-year-old. I get the analogy.
So modular vessel design is really important. Another approach that one thinks about is renewable fuels. And now I'm talking about molecules that are derived from renewable sources that actually fuel the engines and therefore are more carbon friendly. Or you can think in the context of potentially, there are lots of different approaches that might be applied. So those are some of the ideas. One of the things that comes to mind for me is, as an example, is we have collaborated with Kirby Corporation on the Green Diamond. Now, what is that? That is the nation's first hybrid electric inland towing vessel. That's an innovative combination of diesel and battery energy, right? This vessel, by the way, uses 60% less fuel than its counterparts. And we, Shell Energy, we provide the energy from shore and combine it with Green E certified renewable energy certificates, which effectively makes the energy provided to this vessel 100% renewable. The electric energy provided 100% renewable. That's a great example of how innovation comes together. Another example that comes to mind is in the Port of Galveston. We are working with port authorities to introduce onshore infrastructure, onshore power infrastructure. Some people call it cold ironing. Some might regard it as maritime alternative power. But basically, when ships are docked or at berth, they plug in. And when they plug in, they're using energy that we can then provide from renewable resources. And the consequence of that is that there is perhaps 30% less emissions. Also, there's up to 95% less pollutants that may go into that clearly impact environment and clearly impact communities. So these are other areas. And it also helps with regard to even noise pollution. There's substantially less noise when you're supplying electricity than when you're running the engines when ships are at berth. And so these are approaches that we think about in terms of just helping to advance the agenda of renewable energy imports.
We're about to get the hook, but at Axios we talk in axioms a lot, one of which is why it matters. So to finish out, really just to dive in here, so why is Shell interested in port decarbonization?
We are interested in decarbonization, port decarbonization specifically, is because this is where our customers are. It requires innovation, partnership, ingenuity, and infrastructure. Shell has been providing energy for more than 100 years. This is where we live. We know how to deliver complex projects. This is our expertise. We partner well, and we are integrators. We bring together the regulatory compliance, we navigate the financing, we work with our customers and partners to deliver positive outcomes for climate. And this is a region we're very focused on this space.
We're going to leave it there. I want to thank you again for being here in Long Beach. Really appreciate the conversation. And we'll thank you again for the partnership. Big thanks to Shell. Round of applause for Shell.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Glenn.